are currently in the Sunshine Tribute well, the co-op. So this is basically something that I have noticed with this particular mod that you might want to be very careful with. Um, the scrap all tool, or this, or basically, it allows you to scrap these bushes. But there's another thing around in this very lovely particular place that it allows you to scrap the cabins that are around in this particular area where the Sunshine Co-op is. And I will let you see that by casting this purple little highlighter. So if you ever see cabin and you're trying not to actually destroy your cabin, because honestly these places are pretty good to have around in the Sunshine Co-op. I personally think so. So you just want to make sure that whenever you're highlighting a particular area that you just see what you're scrapping, because otherwise it's just going to take the entire cabin. I personally really do like this mod, the scrapping these junk shrubs and stuff. It kind of allows you to get rid of these dirty looking shrubs and things. And sometimes it'll allow you to get rid of any and all um, stubs that you weren't able to get rid of. Maybe vines, unsightly things that you weren't really terribly too keen on, like these, or some rocks that are kind of strewn about the area that you kind of just want to be all like, oh, this does not look good. I believe in this area you can actually scrap these particular wild tomato blossoms. Sadly, they don't let you grow them for any reasons. I don't know why these are not food, because it's like, oh, you can get wild tomatoes and grow them in your settlement, I believe. I'm not 100% sure if that's actually a thing or not, because you can get the like variations of wild fruits, veggies, things like that. So I don't understand why they didn't let you have the wild tomatoes in here and have them as food. One of the nice things about this is you don't get rid of this particular shack, but the scrapping tool does allow you to get rid of dead bodies, which is really nice. Holes from the mole rats, which I thought were a little bit unsightly. And of course these little scrappy areas that I personally don't really care to look at. I kind of really like getting rid of most of the doors, because a lot of the NPCs within this game kind of just don't seem to recognize that it's a door, and they'll just keep on like beep, 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 not walking around it. Another thing is that this one right here, you can't really assign him to anything if you have this particular tool. So I would be very careful to not scrap him, because I kind of feel like he gives personality to the Sunshine Co-op area. I kind of really feel that he's actually quite fun, even though all he says is sweet, groovy. I think one of his lines is stellar. I'm not 100% sure about that, but he's kind of really fun to have around, and he doesn't boost up your people count, as you can see, which means that he's not exactly a settler here. Even though with the Antimantium DLC, I'm pretty sure I'm not saying that right. Yeah, let's just get rid of that. That looked ugly. Because if you really want a robot that actually works within this area, you can build yourself one with that particular boost DLC added into your add-ons. Honestly, doing that particular add-on was a waste of time for me, personally. But it's a pretty good settlement builder action. However, a lot of the robots you will build with that DLC don't seem to sell anything very well. I mean, if you want to make them into delivery lines, that's a really good idea. Defense is a fairly good idea for them to be in. Just something that you don't really have to do a lot of interaction with them, because if you try and interact with any of the build your own robot kind of deals, it's like they will try and be all like, oh, you want me to go and help you basically become a temporary to full-time companion kind of deal. So if you're trying to make sure that they sell anything, do anything, your best bet is either to have them as guards or as settlement productivity lines, because that way you don't have to deal with them, you don't have to talk with them. And I kind of wish that this was a bug that they addressed, because it isn't. And I don't exactly know how to not do that. I think there may be a mod for it. I haven't looked for it yet. If there is a mod that allows you to build robots and then have them as working salesmen, that would be really good, because you could build like an entire area with just robots. They do produce, which is really good. Um, so basically, you could have them on food, which is a good thing, because the least you interact with them, the better. The only companion that does not seem to do very well, for whatever reasons, would be Cogsworth. He seems to be the only companion that you have to like frequently make sure that he's on something. So like if you want him to go do produce, you have to at least assign him to it more than once. And this is after you do the main storyline kind of deal. So if you don't want any spoilers, please be aware that in order to get him to be your companion, you do have to kind of follow a little bit along the storylines and go over to Concord and then go help them. And after that, he will become your companion. Um, Another thing that I have noticed that might be really a good idea, whenever building settlements, if you already have settlers within your settlements, do not assign them to anything that, do not assign them to go do the productivity lines, the supply lines. Do not do that, because, if you're doing a particular quest for that location and they're the quest giver and you decided that they should be a supply line person, then you're just basically going to try and track them down the entire time, which I found to be the most dumb thing in the entire universe of dumb. So if you really don't feel like running after an NPC, I would highly suggest that you give that assignment to somebody who is not originally from there. Because then they can go and be all like, oh hey, can you go do that thing for me? Now, I've noticed that other settlers, once they start becoming part of the settlement, this is usually with human NPCs. I haven't tested this out with any other NPCs yet. They will try and assign you to do things for them, which is like, oh, go hunt down these ghouls, go hunt down these uh, raiders, super mutants, what have you, basically just giving you some side tasks to go do for them, and you don't necessarily have to get that done right away if you don't feel like it. It's just one of those things that you can eventually do, but the moment you pick it up, you can go and go and finish it at any point in time. This does not mean that the NPC is going to get upset. They will not leave the settlement that you have assigned for them. The only time where they start getting pretty upset is if you don't really have enough food, don't have enough defense, don't have enough. I'm not 100% sure about the power. But if for any reason you see an unhappy face on your settlements when doing builds, like for instance, you'll go into your Pip-Boy. I believe it's underneath data, and then go to workshops, and then you will see happiness on the right bottom. And as long as they are happy and none of them are negative, you should be perfectly fine. A lot of the times they will get unhappy if you don't go and help them defend their settlements. They'll get unhappy if you bring in more people and don't have enough room. So try and keep all of that in mind. A lot of the times they'll get unhappy if you bring in robots, ghouls, what have you. They'll just get unhappy. But they'll be okay with it. After you're done building and everything, you can come back into your little building settlement bar and then see that they're like just dealing with it.